All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a sort of year in thoughts or year in review for 2019. Now that it's almost over, 2019 being a tough year for Walking Dead and Game of Thrones fans. Alright, so usually this time of the year we go ahead and do some 2019 year in review videos. In the past, before, I've done kind of top 10 favorite episodes of the year, top 5s, things like that for different series. Of course, Christmas is over now, so we're just coming up to the end of 2019 and the start to 2020. So thinking back on this year and kind of getting ready to make some videos with it, I could not escape this one that was in my mind right away instantly. And so I was like, damn, dude, I got to start at least with that. We'll give our thoughts on that. Man, it has been a tough year for Walking Dead and Game of Thrones fans. Absolutely no question. And I've seen it all this year. I want to thank every single one of you guys for sticking with the channel, everybody who's still subscribed to the channel, everybody who helps out the channel by, watching the videos and or supporting it through Patreon or asking questions, sending through questions, anything like that is really great, man. That's what has allowed me to kind of keep going through what was a pretty tough year for me personally, because of course, as some people pointed out, they're like, they understand that I kind of live with these series in a lot of ways because I'm trying to create content for them almost every day with you guys. And so we do reviews, every week for all the episodes of Walking Dead, review every episode of Game of Thrones, review the different series that come out, the comics for The Walking Dead every month. We do a review for that, and then we do predictions on what we think is going to happen next. So we do a lot for these different series, and I guess we'll start off with Game of Thrones quickly here and just kind of what happened with that, because you guys all got to see it. Anybody who's a fan of Game of Thrones and watched the final season, I mean, they literally nuked the fan base from orbit, or Dragonfire nuked. The city in ruin was represented the fan base, right? I've heard that one with Daenerys when she just absolutely torched the place. Man, that was a pretty tough ending to see for Game of Thrones. Some people did. There are a few people who did like it, and if you did, it's no problem. I get that, but you got to understand too that there was, such a huge percentage. I've never seen such a huge percentage of a fan base in Game of Thrones. There's a huge one so disappointed, and where that will go in the future for Game of Thrones if they try to do these other prequels and stuff like this, I have no idea. I really cannot believe how they've kind of handled the franchise with ending the original series there, with how popular it was, how many subscriptions it would get for HBO. I've done some videos on it. You guys have seen them this year. I can't believe kind of what they did with it at the end there, and how they just torched their fan base entirely. It's really unbelievable. To see kind of the way things ended off and why they wanted to go towards that as a chosen ending. I think to myself, wow, they didn't think of it all the way through. So taking that to Walking Dead and kind of why that's been a bit of a tough year for us too, I think Walking Dead went the opposite approach, where they did with the comic book series have a really great ending to it, with Carl and with everything that we got to see with Carl's family in the future and everything, and kind of Rick. But the only thing with that was it was so sudden. I think there was an article that just hit recently where Charlie Adler had said that Kirkman said to him that they were kind of afraid at Comic-Con when they kind of had just released the last issue, because they were thinking that they were going to get half of the fan base was just going to scream at them and be so mad, because and there was that portion. I just think they didn't voice it at Comic-Con, so they didn't get to see it live. People were kind of not sure. But I saw it online. I definitely saw it online. One of the videos I did was fans feeling betrayed by the ending of The Walking Dead because nobody expected it. At least with regards to Game of Thrones. People knew it was coming, so they were able to emotionally prepare for it. With the Walking Dead comic series, we were not. And I have to admit, after reviewing the series for 11 years or whatever it was, over 10 years, probably about 11 years, over 10 years or so, it was very shocking to see that ending come up and to see the response from you guys right away when it did. as tough of a year as it was for Game of Thrones fans, of course, with The Walking Dead, with the comic book series ending like that. And then, of course, Rick just left last year in 2018. So this was kind of our first Rickless year of Walking Dead. And even though they did an amazing job with the original TV series, I think, it was still, pretty tough to kind of get used to not having him there and that whole thing. And then having him be killed off in the comics at the same, within a year of that is just really crazy. So in 1 year you go from, with Walking Dead, it did feel like it had a really positive outlook in the future, and we thought the comics were going to last for another 5 or 10 years and that whole thing. And so that was quite the shocker to see just everything that happened with that. So I definitely understand for Walking Dead fans that are kind of just even still kind of shaken from that. I got to be honest with you guys too, that I'm kind of still shaken from that. And I did go through a little bit of period of depression, this year, a little bit of sadness. I didn't really show it online too much with you guys, but you got to see it somewhat in some of the reviews and stuff. But man, it was tough, to get through it. And that's why I want to thank you guys so much for sticking with me as we kind of figure out, okay, what are we going to do next? Because when you don't see something like that happening, and you're led to believe that you're probably going to be able to do reviews for this or to have fun with this for, share your passion together with this for another several years, and then it just instantly kind of ends like that. It's it's pretty crazy to see. You can go with that both Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, because with Game of Thrones, we had heard ahead of time they were going to do prequels and they were going to do other stuff, and I think we all just assumed that it was such a popular series that they were going to really continue it on in some way, and that you didn't really need to worry because you're going to see. And there will likely be some stuff coming for Game of Thrones that should be pretty good. I'm just interested to see if the fans are still for it, or if they're so turned off by the way that the original series ended that they're not going to try some of these other prequel series and some of the other stuff that's going to be coming out. Just part of the backlash that they got from the way season 8 actually ended, and just kind of the way things were going. So, for all the other series this year, this has been a really tough year for, I think, not just, I'm not just saying for me, but all of us, I think, all of you guys who subscribe to the channel, because no doubt if you subscribe to the channel, you were definitely a fan of Walking Dead, I would want to say, with the amount of videos we do for it, but you were probably also a fan of Game of Thrones, at least to some degree. And so, man, it was a really, really tough year. But I do want to thank you guys for being there for me, and I'm hoping that 2020 will be a better year, will be kind of a more positive year. There'll be more episodes of Walking Dead on, so that's great. And I'm going to try to find other series to review or other things to pick up that we can kind of go with for the future, for the foreseeable future. And again, when things swerve you like that, you just have you have no preparation for it. You're just not ready for it, and you're not sure. So it's it just kind of puts you back. And like I said, for me, maybe a bit of sadness there, kind of almost extreme sadness from me. Just because it's a passion thing, really. Not that many people even really watch videos on the comic book series for Walking Dead anyway, or it's got a loyal fan base, it's got a hardcore fan base, but it's not much compared to something like the Walking Dead TV series. You have a lot more people who watch that, but just from a passion standpoint of kind of losing that, it was like, oh man, it was pretty tough. But I hope I wasn't too negative this year. But at the same time, I hope I was honest and had that integrity and the representation to kind of express with you guys and feel for you guys and see kind of how you guys were doing, how you guys were going through with everything, and kind of with me too. I tried to keep it as positive as I could, but it's just one news thing after another, and then whether or not the report ends up being true that we've got a couple more years of Walking Dead, we'll have to see if that ends up being true. If we do, it's the Morgan quote from the end of All Out War, like, let's just finish it, right? We've come this far, so let's just finish it. That's what I'm saying right now for 2020. Like, let's just go, whatever it's going to be, however many years more it's going to be. Like, I feel like I'm obligated to you guys to finish it through. We'll see how the other Walking Dead series does in 2020 and whether or not it's any good. We'll see. For Fear, I've always kind of been questioning on Fear because it's never really helped the channel much. After the first season, it just the most popular videos on Fear are the negative videos on Fear, which is kind of a sad thing. It means the best Fear video I did this year was like the worst episode ever of Fear. That one had the most comments and interest and stuff like that. It's like people they love to hate Fear. So I don't know. We'll see where things kind of go with that. I'm going to try to review this year coming up with Fear after the other spinoff series kind of ends, whenever they air it, and see how that goes. And I'm going to try, but also at the same time, I want to kind of stay positive and try to. And I realize this year I probably got a little bit too kind of down with you guys, and I do apologize for that. I know that's not what you're here for. You're here to have fun and share your passion and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was just pretty tough with all these different things that we didn't think about, we didn't foresee, and like I said, with Rick leaving in the year before, that spilling over, of course, into 2019. In a lot of ways, I'm just kind of happy to see 2019 go. And I am excited for 2020, hoping that it's kind of a more positive year, and we find more things to be passionate about and have fun with and together, and that will likely work out. So I hope that's the case. We'll see how it goes. Let me know how you guys felt about this year, and thank you guys again for all your love, all your support. And let's I'm just glad to see it go, but let's hope that 2020 will be more fun, and that there'll be more kind of positive news on the front, and not so much kind of doom and gloom kind of stuff as unfortunately, to be honest, we've had to go through almost even up until like last month with that report about season 12. So we'll see how it goes. I hope you guys did like the channel again this year, and I promise I'll try to be more positive next year in 2020, and we'll just see how that turns out. If you guys like this kind of channel updates video, sort of year in, not ignoring the case, then you can thumb it up below, you can share, you can favorite. Thanks again for everything, guys, and I'll see you again soon. As always, this is Trev. Same peace. Later, guys. See you soon.